should we talk about Loki episode 3?
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay, so first of all, I would say this episode's been getting a real mixed reception. A lot of people have said it is quite boring and quite stagnant. I'm interested. Do you share that opinion?
I think for me, first and foremost, I don't like the Wednesday releases.
I don't like the Wednesday releases either. I like the Friday night releases. It's a nice way for me to spend my Friday night in these times of lockdowns and
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, because I work from home as well, it's like 8 o'clock on a Friday, and you got that Friday feeling. It's
yeah.
like, can I squeeze this in before work? Yeah, go on, probably. It's only half an hour. So it just gave me a boost, and getting into that weekend mode. And Wednesday, it's like, oh, fuck, Loki's on, I've got to watch it. So,
You think as
and I
well
guess
for
that,
like social media as well, it's better for them because they got that. Of course, it's still a week between episodes, but during the week, I feel people talked more about WandaVision
mm,
and uh, Falcon Winter Soldier went for those Friday releases because people had the weekend, then all of their midweek working to discuss the episode and what's
yeah, yeah.
coming. And I feel like with Locus on the Wednesday, then people go out over the weekend, and then so no one's really online and talking about social media. Then after the weekend, you're pretty much there, aren't you? So like no one's really talking
Yeah,
about. I don't know. Maybe that just seems to be that's just my thoughts on it, but I could be wrong. But yeah, I feel like the engagement isn't there.
yeah, and I think maybe it's a negotiation because they've got Star Wars Bad Batch that comes out on a Friday, so maybe it's a negotiation
Yeah,
between the Marvel and Star Wars divisions. They can't hog the Fridays because they must know that the Friday is the plum spot
surely, yeah.
to release these things. So I think I'd say that episode one I really enjoyed, even though some people were saying it was a bit exposition heavy. I really enjoyed it. Then episode two, I'm like, oh, you know what? I've got no idea where this is going, and I think I'm getting a bit fatigued with just like I have no idea where this story's going. Like literally no clue.
Yeah.
And is it actually going to have any real impact on the MCU? Because the two series we've seen before with WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier, well, I've enjoyed them. I've enjoyed going through them, and it fills in some blanks. It fleshes out some characters which were peripheral characters before, and makes you care about them a bit more. But with this Loki series, I'm just not really feeling it, and it is this episode 3 that's just made me feel like that.
I mean, yeah, we discussed before. It's Feige said that you'd have to, part of this, this was announced as Phase 4. It was like, no, now these are the TV
Hmm.
series you need to watch, like Agents of Shield, because I think they've pretty much got on record saying that like the TV series before this aren't canon anymore now. So they're not.
Mm,
You can just forget them, just move past them. They're not canon. Like because like Phil Coulson is dead in the film universe, but in the TV
yeah.
universe he's alive. But yeah, you got to. They said you got to watch these Disney Plus series if you want to keep up with the MCU, and it still feels at the moment you really don't. You really don't have to have watched any of them. If you saw a Captain America 4 film tomorrow and you never seen Falcon Winter Soldier and Sam Wilson's Captain America, you'd be like, yeah, that makes sense because in the last film I
Hmm.
saw, they gave him the shield. So yeah,
Exactly.
of course he's Captain America. Like that makes sense to me. I mean, episode 3 for me, I do kind of share that opinion. It was a little bit stagnant. I mean, I don't mind those kind of breather episodes where you kind of learn more about the characters and whatnot, but we didn't learn what Lady Loki's plan was, and they were trying to talk a bit more about Loki and his life, but he has been a character that we've seen on our screens for over 10 years. So I don't need to learn too much more about him. He's not developing from the character I saw die in Infinity War. So why do I care anymore? And yeah, and they just didn't explain Lady Loki's plan. I mean, I thought that's what it would have been, just kind of an episode of them kind of arguing and realizing they're perhaps you're not so different after all, and yeah, there just didn't seem to be much of a big reveal.
Yeah, interesting that you call her Lady Loki.
How she's
I'm not
Sylvie, yeah.
convinced. Yeah, I'm not convinced she is because she seems to be a bit evasive when he keeps referring to her as Loki. And as something as simple as the fact that she's got blonde hair. Okay,
Mm.
we're dealing in alternate versions. I mean, in the comics, Lady Loki does have dark hair as well. She looks so much like, an on-screen live-action version of the Enchantress.
Yeah, I've been seeing a lot of theories that she is the enchantress. That
Yeah,
is,
she just looks too much like her, to be. And Marvel generally get the casting spot on. I don't know enough to say, yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely
it's weird because
the
it's like,
Enchantress.
is that a big reveal? She turns around and go, actually, I'm the enchantress. Who's no
Yeah,
one's really going to be like, oh wow, that's incredible. Like for most viewers, they're going to be like, what does that mean? But I mean,
yeah.
maybe it could be
There's
right. I
one.
think a lot of people are saying she is the enchantress, so perhaps she is.
Yeah, there's one pocket of uber nerds
Yeah,
that's like
exactly.
that's going to be like, oh my god, it's the Enchantress, but that is a small group.
Mm.
That is not the
Yeah,
majority of
because
the
it's
people
like
watching this.
in the aspect of the story, does the reveal really do much? It's like no. If it was like actually I'm Hela, then everyone would be like, oh yeah, that's a reveal, that's a twist. I know who that character is. But to turn around and go, actually I'm the Enchantress, everyone would be like, that doesn't change anything really. What's been going on?
Yeah,
I mean, what do you think her plan is anyway? I mean, I think that's something that's still not been revealed. Like, what's her plan? And is she the actual bad guy in this?
I suspect she's not. I suspect she appears to be villainous. Certainly, the TVA are portraying her as the villain,
Mm,
but I'm not convinced of the TVA's true intentions and whether are they on the side of the righteous. Seems very fascist to me. To this idea they've got about controlling the different timelines. I think it was in episode one where Loki's, they're almost uh, heading off at the pass, aren't they? Any fan theories? Loki's like, well, what about the Avengers? They went back and changed time. It's like, no, 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 that was supposed to happen.
mm.
So, so, so you've got this group of people who are deciding what the right timeline should be, and that seems like a very fascist principle to me.
I think. Well, my theory is that Lady Loki's plan is actually, somewhat righteous. That she wants to maybe destroy all the timelines so people can have free will and have loads of branching timelines instead of this one perfect timeline we keep getting told about. It's like you said, it seems like the TVA are very much kind of fascists and are trying to just make this perfect timeline, which doesn't seem like it's ever going to happen because all uh, the TVA agents seem to be just blind followers to this cause, and perhaps Lady Loki is just trying to give everyone free will back, and perhaps that is her plan. I think it's going to be the Timekeepers are the ultimate villains, and it's going to be all smoke and mirrors, a Wizard of Oz situation. Perhaps there will
Hmm.
be a reveal. Perhaps there'll be a reveal of a bigger character like Kang or something. I could see this series ending with, you know, there'll be branching timelines, and then Kang kind of getting away and being like, "Well, I'll show up in Ant-Man Quantum Mania. That'll be my time to
Mm-hmm.
strike." So yeah, I think she's probably somewhat noble, even though she did kill a load of TVA agents pretty brutally.
Yeah. Well, kind of anti-hero, possibly. She might have been wronged by the TVA.
Well, interesting. Yeah,
Someone.
she says the plan's been in the works for years. She's been planning this
Hmm.
for a
Hmm.
while. So what beef has she got with the TVA that has lasted this long? It's yeah, it's an interesting one to mull over, and I thought they would reveal more in this episode instead of just kind of them walking along, holding hands, having a chat. which was a bit
Yeah.
annoying. What about? Did you believe her when she said the TVA agents, all of them are variants? They're variants.
Interesting the way you phrase that question. I just took that hook, line, and
I
sinker.
took it hook,
Now,
line, and sinker, and then I thought,
yeah,
but aren't they the gods of mischief? You know, they could
you're
design.
right, because as I was saying it out loud, I'm like, well, these are both a couple of tricksters, aren't they? So, it's difficult to take anything they say at face value. But that felt like a reveal to me. That felt like what you've been told before is
Yeah.
a lie.
I can't see them going back on that. I feel like they were giving us something, so they said, well,
Yeah.
everyone is a variant.
Yeah, yeah, and it's building up her storyline that she is. It's not like these TVA, these time, what do they call them, time overlords or whatever.
Yeah.
They're not, these virtuous beings that are trying to keep everything right. They're being a bit nefarious as well.
Yeah, definitely. Because I mean, it is interesting because the time variants for it, aren't they all supposed to look like Mobius? I think that's a thing about them is like the middle management guys all look like Mobius. They're all just clones of him. And in
Right.
this, everyone's different. Everyone's got a face. Yeah, I mean, I did take what she said that they were variants because they do. She does do that little mind trick on one of the TVA agents where they're having
Yeah.
a drink, and it felt like I feel like she said something about how she gets in people's minds is through like a memory, and by that
Yeah.
way she can manipulate them. So it felt like that perhaps that was like a distant memory for her in some way, and that was how she was tricking her. Because if she wasn't a variant, if she was this TVA agent was just made, how would she be able to comprehend what like a cocktail bar was?
Yeah, that's a really good point, and that's another reason I just don't think,
Mm.
she could be saying one thing to Loki and meaning another, but we did actually get that flashback where she's touching the agent's head and she's in her head with this cocktail bar scene. I tell you what, I was thinking where the episode would end, but actually, who knows? It could play out when she goes to go into Loki's head and possess her, Scarlet Witch style, and he just goes like, "What are you doing?" We think, well, okay, so she isn't powerful enough. Loki says he's got a strong mind, but later on, she says, about how her power works and that she can provide a fantasy, and the fact that she's on this quest almost with Loki to go and get to
Yeah.
the Ark and escape. I was thinking, it, was he too strong, or is this all playing out in Loki's head?
Yeah, I've seen some people say that like that could be a theory that this whole episode kind of was just in his head because there's some there's obviously the point when they're having a drink together and it kind of mirrors the earlier scene of when she's having a drink with the TVA agent and I thought at that point I'm like,
Mm,
oh, it's going to this is the point it's kind of gonna snap and we're going to
yeah.
realize, but it never quite came. And I thought if they were going to do it there, I can't see why they do it now. But I like that idea. I think that would have been a cool idea for an episode. But I don't know. I guess they're gonna. I just don't think they're gonna do it now.
I mean, they could do it early in the next episode, couldn't they? You could get that flashback scene,
I
and
guess
she's
you could wrap it
kind of
up
in his head.
quickly, in the first five
Yeah.
minutes. But according to Tom Hiddleston, according to an interview, episode 4 and 5 is where the series is going to take a completely different turn. These are the two episodes now. But I mean, they keep all these people make the shows. All three of them now they've come out and talked about various different things. You got Paul Bettany who did his stupid joke of where he said, "I couldn't
That
believe
was
I
brilliant.
worked with this actor. I was looking forward to working with this actor the whole time," and it was just him the whole time,
Yeah,
which
it's
actually is quite
brilliant.
funny.
He basically punked all of us. He talks about wanting to work with this actor since he was
Yeah,
young.
he's such a brilliant actor. I've always wanted to work with him since a young
What
age.
a bastard!
Yeah, and it was just
We were all like, "Oh, it's Magneto, it's Ian McKellen, or it's Patrick Stewart." No, it's just him. It's White Vision.
It says, yeah, I mean, overall, this episode, it just feels like there's not a whole load to actually to unwrap with it. They didn't go anywhere with it, and I like in ranking the 3 episodes we've had. Would you say this was maybe the weakest one?
I think so, and I think this. If we take a step back and say, well, what was the point of this episode? I mean, it's your classic, the enemy of my enemy is my friend kind of
Yeah.
thing, and it's your superhero or supervillain team up, so they hate each other, but they have to work for this common goal. Also, it's helped us understand a little bit more about Sylvie and how her powers work. The fact that she does have a power set which is different to Loki just makes me again think this is not Lady Loki.
I feel kind of
Um,
her power set is kind of similar. It's all green, glowy stuff coming out your hands, isn't it? It's all
but
kind.
he can't possess people.
No, he can't. No, he can't do that. But it still feels fairly. I mean, yeah, she has that one different power, I guess. They
Yeah,
both have
yeah.
the power of shoot green lasers out of their hands, and then she has the additional power of control your mind. Whilst Loki needs the scepter to do that.
There was one moment toward the end there when this tower appeared to fall on them, or it was about to fall on
And he
them,
moved.
and
Yeah,
and Loki seemed to stop it with his mind and get rid of it. And again, I don't think we've seen anything like that.
but he moves stuff, doesn't he? He has move he has telekinesis, but we've never seen it quite on that level. It's just usually telekinesis to like grab grab a dagger or something and stick it in your back. But other than that, he's never. This is one of the before we wrap up talking about Loki. This is a theory I did read that perhaps Loki stole an Infinity Stone from one of the TVA agents' desks, and he's
Hmm.
actually in possession of the Time Stone currently. And perhaps that's the little green lasers we're seeing shoot out of his hands. Because I mean, if your ultimate goal was to get an Infinity Stone and you saw a draw full, you'd
Hmm.
maybe pocket a few, and just in case you got out, I guess. So
Yeah, because they only didn't have power in the TVA, didn't they? So you would think if they don't care and are using them as paperweights,
yeah,
just pocket all of them.
exactly. I and that was it's a theory. So I don't think it's true, but I like the theory. I think it's a cool idea, but I think they're done with Infinity Stones. I think the whole reason they put that in there because to basically say to the audience, forget about them. Like they're done.
Yeah,
Move
yeah.
on.
And I like that. I mean, I like, it could turn into a little bit of a one trick pony kind of thing where everything about the MCU is about these
Yeah.
Infinity Stones. So I agree. I think that was a way to kind of say, look, that's kind of done now. They're there, but they're not as powerful. You need to be thinking of something different now. But I'm racking my brain and I'm trying to think where Loki's used actual telekinesis before. He's made things like disappear and then he can make them reappear in his hand, like say a dagger, or when he had the Tesseract at the beginning of Infinity War, I think it was. But I can't think of him moving stuff.
He moved something in the previous episode when he was fighting Lady Loki, Sylvie, Enchantress. He grabbed like a I don't know, it was like a cylinder. He like pulled a cylinder from one of the shelves and he got
Right.
there.
Okay.
I think I've seen also there was a clip of him when he was locked up in For the Dark World.
Hmm.
He sort of like stamps his feet and all the chairs fly back. I mean, but I do agree, we've
Oh,
never
yeah, yeah,
seen
yeah.
telekinesis quite like that, and he was very confident in it. If you had that
Yeah,
good at telekinesis, you would use it all the time, surely.
yeah, yeah,
I always
yeah.
felt like
No,
his
that's a good
telekinesis
point.
worked in just like if he wanted to grab something, he could pull it to him, but it didn't
Hmm.
work like the Force in Star Wars, where he could just move objects about. But if he wanted something, he could. Overall, so I think that's kind of a low key discussion done. Is there any predictions where you think this is going to go? TVA bad guys? Is Owen Wilson a bad guy? Is it all smoke and mirrors with the TVA? Is Lady Loki? just lying to Loki.
Well, the most obvious thing I think is we've got Doctor Strange coming up, haven't we? We've got
Hmm.
the multiverse of madness. So Marvel has been hinting at the multiverse, and they keep doing the old switcheroo on us. You know, the bait and switch. They don't actually see it through. There's always some other explanation, but you've got to think that at some point, the TVA is going to have to be taken out. So the timeline, the TVA is going to not be able to do its job, and then you're going to have all these multiverses springing off all over the place. So maybe this series will actually have genuine repercussions.
I would like that. I would like some actual repercussions in this series, and actually for it to directly lead into one of the films and not half-heartedly, like we were told. One Division led directly into Multiverse of Madness. I mean, I guess just it led into that by saying this is where she is in her point of time, but you still don't have to watch that. You could still work that out. You could still just go, okay,
Mm.
she just ended up in a woods somewhere in her little log cabin. Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of the same. I'm hoping. I'm pretty much worked it out. TVA are not going to be all so good, are they? The Timekeepers are going to be bad blokes, and perhaps Owen Wilson's going to have a. I said it. I think I pretty much said in episode one. I was like, I think Owen Wilson's going to have a revelation. His life is a complete sham, and then that's going to be end credits. Have a big laser battle fight to do the final episode, and yeah, that's it. We'll wrap it up there really, and then move to series two.